Stay tuned to PBS 39 for an all-new episode of Focus, featuring the people, places, and issues that matter to you. We take a tour through a local neighborhood to find out what's made in South Bethlehem. OraSure is a leading manufacturer of tests to diagnose HIV and Ebola. Engineers design products for Texas Instruments, and Cafe The Lodge doesn't just make good food, they make good jobs available for people who may not have them otherwise. Stay tuned for these stories and more right now on Focus. Focus is for our community.
Focus showcases the people,
The places, and the issues that matter to you.
Focus on what matters.
You never know what you're going to see when you tune into Focus.
Support for Focus is provided by Univest, Banking, Insurance, Investments, Fellowship Community, Continuing Care with Spirit, and by viewers like you. Thank you.
Thanks for joining us for Focus, broadcasting from the PPL Public Media Center at PBS 39. I'm Laura McHugh. It's safe to say that Bethlehem Steel helped put South Bethlehem on the map. As one of the largest steel manufacturers in the country, the company brought jobs to generations of families in the 20th century. Today, years after the steel's demise, we wondered what's now being made in South Bethlehem. To find out, here's Focus reporter Brittany Garzillo. Brittany?
Thanks, Laura. On our journey to discover what's made in South Bethlehem, we toured two companies. With 220 employees based in Bethlehem, OraSure Technologies specializes in tests that detect infectious diseases like hepatitis C, HIV, Ebola, and is now actively engaged in a development program to detect the Zika virus. The second company we toured, Texas Instruments, has about 70 employees and designs and develops products used in everyday electronics. Two vastly different companies with one similarity, a home here in South Bethlehem. On our drive to discover what's made in South Bethlehem, we first stopped at East First Street, where the medical diagnostics company OraSure Technologies develops tests that detect infectious diseases.
The work that we're doing here is having an impact saving lives around the world.
Through a series of rapid point-of-care tests that diagnose diseases like hepatitis C, HIV, and Ebola.
The tests that we make are rapid tests on what we call our OraQuick platform. And it's a rapid testing platform, lateral flow, very similar to a pregnancy test.
I sat down with Ron Tico, the company's Senior Vice President of Corporate Communications, to learn more. So what do we have here?
This is our OraQuick in-home HIV test. It's the only in-home HIV test, rapid test, that's available over the counter here in the United States. There's approximately 30,000 stores that carry our in-home HIV test today. It's now accessible to individuals throughout the country. It's pretty amazing to think that that product is made right here in Bethlehem.
Since the over-the-counter product launched in 2012, Tico says the company has sold more than 1 million tests.
It takes about 20 minutes for the test to run. Our company estimates approximately 8,000 individuals have probably found out that they're positive using our test, and they may not have otherwise known that they were HIV positive.
That doesn't include the number of individuals tested professionally with the OraQuick Advanced Rapid HIV Test. Released in 2004, Tico says it was the first of its kind to test HIV using an oral fluid sample.
We've sold now, close to 30 million devices since the product was first launched. It was important because at the time, a third of the patients that were coming in to get tested in public health clinics were never getting their results. And now they could get their results right at the point of care.
According to Tico, the OraQuick Advanced HIV test is available in more than 45 countries worldwide.
There's a lot that goes into making a test, and for us that includes the formulations and the chemistry that goes on the actual lateral flow strip that's at the heart of our device, the actual manufacture of the test itself, which takes various plastic components and molds them together so that you have a final product.
Inside production, products are inspected and packaged before they're ready for shipment.
We were approached by various government agencies and non-government agencies and foundations about the possibility of using our platform to develop a rapid Ebola test. And under emergency use authorization from the FDA, our product is now being deployed in West Africa.
So, why make these products in South Bethlehem?
So the company actually was a spin-out out of Lehigh University. The founders actually received funding from Ben Franklin, which was extremely important to get the company off the ground and moving in the right direction.
Located about 2 miles away on Lehigh University's mountaintop campus, Ben Franklin Technology Partners of Northeastern Pennsylvania owns and manages an incubator space for early-stage startup companies.
Them being able to give you some guidance really increases the probability of success. And I think we're a good example of that.
Texas Instruments is an anchor tenant at Ben Franklin Tech Ventures. Well known for their scientific calculators, a bulk of their business is in the design and manufacturing of semiconductors. Headquartered in Dallas, Texas Instruments acquired a startup company here in 2009.
Texas Instruments is a manufacturer of semiconductors, and semiconductors are used in a broad range of applications and products, anything from cell phones to cars to lighting to you name it. This lab here is what we call the Characterization and Test Laboratory.
Advanced Technology Manager David Howergy shows us the part of the lab where the semiconductors are tested and characterized.
The setup itself, we're talking about pieces of equipment that are relatively expensive in nature and fairly complex, also that we can go off and test these little chips that are used in everyday electronics, from the camera you're holding to the phone in your pocket to the computer at your house. These chips are essential in powering our electronics and making sure that they do what they do. But what's probably in your phone is something similar to that little tiny one right there, which is mounted on a board. So the green thing is not the part, it's a little shiny thing that's in the middle that's the part.
Steve Heiner is the site's product line manager.
We'll do the design, then the design is released, we'll manufacture it somewhere in the TI network of manufacturing. They'll create that product for us, send it back to us downstairs.
Once we have the product here in our laboratories, we go off and we do testing, characterization. We will go off and look at the reliability of the product, make sure that the product itself is within specifications based on what the customer requires.
What we produce at the end of the day is key intellectual property, which differentiates our products and allows us to sell our products into the marketplace.
Displayed on a wall are dozens of patents of the intellectual property developed at this location.
Nowhere else within TI or within the global reach of Texas Instruments are these products being developed.
2 companies making products that make a difference in South Bethlehem and beyond. For Focus, I'm Brittany Garzillo, reporting.
Thank you, Brittany. We now turn our focus from business to community and a little cafe in South Bethlehem that makes a big contribution to folks in South Bethlehem and Northampton County. For more, here's Focus reporter Grover Silcox.
Thanks, Laura. Cafe The Lodge employs people with mental health disabilities and gives them a chance to earn some money and interact with customers in a supportive, friendly environment. And although the cafe serves as a mental health program, it also serves as an inviting eatery and coffee bar managed by an experienced staff of culinary and mental health professionals.
Hi, how are you?
There's a friendly welcome waiting for patrons of Cafe The Lodge in South Bethlehem.
Hey, follow me. I smile and I host people. I ask everyone, is everything good?
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Jacqueline Wells has worked at Cafe The Lodge for almost 4 years. The Lodge gives her and other employees with mental health disabilities the opportunity for employment in a supportive environment with a professional staff.
Pepsi. I'm very happy to be here. Everyone's nice. Everybody's friendly.
The cafe is run by a chef, and then we employ 13 people with mental health disabilities.
Alan Singer, a seasoned chef, manages the cafe and mentors employees like Jacob Ackerman, who assists with food preparation.
We do simple tasks for our chef, Alan, and we also put the meals together.
The Lodge promotes wellness, well-being, and also celebration of yourself and others. And that's what we go by here, mind, body, and spirit.
The cafe opened its doors in 2012 and serves as an extension of The Lodge, a nonprofit which provides housing assistance for people in Northampton County with mental health diagnoses. Mental health professionals oversee The Lodge and Cafe The Lodge.
And we are supported employment. This may be where people stay, this may be their comfort level, but for others it may be a training area and they'll go on to competitive employment.
I want my staff and my residents to know that they can kind of come to me with anything and that they know that I will do whatever I can to help.
Oh, you did?
Pamela Lockoff, a former operating room trauma nurse who has post-traumatic stress disorder, came to the cafe a year ago and is proud of the service and food she and her coworkers provide.
I invite people to come, enjoy our food, enjoy our staff, just enjoy the atmosphere.
As a barista at the cafe, one of Pamela's jobs is to make the specialty drinks, like a foamy latte or frappuccino.
I love my customers. I know a lot of them by name. Some of them will only come to me for their lattes.
Customers come in for the lattes and gourmet coffees, the bountiful breakfasts, plump paninis, and especially the Cuban sandwich.
We always push the Cuban sandwich.
Ours is a little bit different because it doesn't have like the yellow mustard it's usually made with.
Chef Allen created his own more garlicky signature sauce.
The legendary Cuban sandwich. That is delicious.
They do have a lot of vegetarian options here too. Like they've got veggie burgers and portobello mushroom burgers, soup sandwiches, salads, all kinds here.
In addition to Jenna O'Connell's work as a barista, she uses her artistic ability to work up new menus on the chalkboard. She's currently helping plan a new mural for the Mindfulness Garden behind the cafe.
I just do like little things that are creative to me that are fun.
Oftentimes people come in and they don't realize that this is any different from another cafe, and then they start reading articles on the walls and you see these paintings, and that's when they know it's a mental health program as well.
Employees pool their tips and donate a percentage to helping others. Cafe The Lodge also provides catering and a performance venue for musicians, poets, and other artists in the community.
The notion of the cafe was really to blur the lines between those with mental health disability and the community.
Cafe The Lodge, a little nook in South Bethlehem where you can enter with a hearty appetite and leave with a new appreciation for your neighbors. For Focus, I'm Grover Silcox reporting.
Thank you, Grover. PBS 39 is located on the former Bethlehem Steel site that's now a vibrant arts and cultural campus known as Steel Stacks. Our guests were involved in redeveloping the property and now scheduling the hundreds of music and performance events on the site. Please welcome former Bethlehem Mayor John Callahan and Patrick Brogan, Senior Vice President of Programming for ArtsQuest. Thank you both for joining us.
Good to be
Thanks
here,
for having us.
What did this property look like 10 years ago?
Well, it was a rusted out just hulk of buildings with no activity. It was there was no life here, and just sort of a hope that we could breathe some new life into this site.
And what does it look like today, Patrick?
Exciting and energy. You know, I was saying that one of my favorite moments is when the campus is alive and there's people outside watching a Levitt Pavilion free to the public concert, people inside seeing a movie, people seeing a concert, people coming for an event, whatever it is. When the campus is has some activity going on, it's the complete opposite. It's the excitement and energy level is through the roof for the community and the entertainment as well.
And ArtsQuest is the nonprofit organization that runs all of those events that take place on this campus. How many events are we up to now? It's been 5 years.
It's amazing. So we present more than 2,500 events annually, whether it be concerts, cinema, comedy, shows, private events, things like that. We're doing about 2,500 annually, attracting an audience of about 800,000 and contributing almost $50 million to the economy on an annual basis.
What's shocking to a lot of people who aren't from this community is that a lot of that programming is free and open to the public.
65% of everything that we present is free to the public, which is something that started with Music Fest 30-some years ago and continues in our mission today as a nonprofit.
What does it mean to you, as the mayor who oversaw this redevelopment process, to see it alive like this today?
Well, it really was just a dream, and for it to have been accomplished, but then to have it as well executed and accepted, not just by the region, but literally by the nation and in some cases the world. I mean, this is one of the most unique economic development projects in all of the country, and clearly with the life that SteelStacks and ArtsQuest have brought to this site, it's special. It's a really special place. I mean, Patrick mentioned one of his favorite moments. I remember clearly being at the Music Fest Cafe, which is, kind of looks out over the blast furnaces and the glass wall, and it was the lead singer of the band Everclear was doing kind of a stripped down acoustic concert, and he stops literally in the middle of his show, looks around, looks behind him at these blast furnaces and says, I hope you folks realize what a special place this is and what an unbelievable venue this is for me to play in. And here's a guy who's played all over the world in some of the most famous venues in the country, and he was just absolutely blown away. And that has happened time and time again with so many performers that have the opportunity to play here.
You mentioned a very similar story with John Oliver.
John Oliver, the comedian, now is gone on to even great things, better things in his career. But he had a special relationship. All the comedians that come through here, from John Oliver to Jerry Seinfeld, Patton Oswalt, Tracy Morgan, all of them love to spend the first 5-10 minutes of the show riffing on the unique nature of the site. They're used to playing in front of a brick wall or some sort of black backdrop or something, and they get this backdrop. It gives them a lot of content.
And a lot of publications are listing Music Fest Cafe at ArtsQuest Center as well as Levitt Pavilion as some of the best performance spaces in the country.
Yeah, we just won the SteelStacks project, and just won a Urban Land Institute ULI Global Award, one of only 4 projects in North America to have received that award. And we were competing with projects in China, literally all over the world. So it is getting, as I said, national and international exposure and awards as a result.
When we made the BuzzFeed article last year of venues to see before you die, up there with the Gorge out in Washington and Red Rocks amphitheaters, and there was SteelStacks and a great photo of the campus alive for one of the World Cup matches last year, which is just an amazing event here at SteelStacks. It's a place the community comes to convene, whether it's to celebrate music and arts or things like the World Cup, or even the Papal viewing party that was here last year for the Papal Mass down in Philadelphia. It's become the place the community wants to come and convene to experience life.
And John, as you said, not only was it such a project to get redeveloped, but then to see its success in the time since then. What is next for this property?
Well,
both of you.
I mean, we can talk about, Patrick, you can probably talk a little bit further about what plans ArtsQuest has for this site, and we can talk about some exciting developments across the street.
That sounds great.
Yeah, I think ArtsQuest, we continue to find ways to bring people here. I mentioned the Papal viewing last year. I mentioned the Soccer World Cup. When we opened this, we weren't thinking, we're going to have a couple of years when the World Cup comes up, we're going to have a soccer festival and we're going to attract 8,000-10,000 people out to see the U.S. matches, which I think is one of the most special events that has happened here in the course of 5 years already. So, what's next? We continue to find ways and events that people want to come together for, whether it's Step Outdoors Lehigh Valley, which we introduced last year as an outdoors event to kick off the summer season, or the World Cup, and this year the Olympics. Different things coming up that we identify. The Lehigh Valley has an interest to convene in a public place and a safe, fun, engaging public place and experience arts, culture, life, whatever it might be.
I mean, the uniqueness of these events, you mentioned it, another kind of what was my favorite memory or moment is very early on in SteelStacks, in the beginnings with ArtsQuest, they had, if you remember this, it was sunrise yoga under an earth park.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah.
And a very new age, extremely kind of odd event. And I'm sitting here watching this, and I'm imagining a Bethlehem Steel rigger over on those blast furnaces, looking down on what's happening and going kind of like, what the heck's going on here? I mean, it's so neat, the kind of the dichotomy of taking an old industrial site and introducing these types of venues and these types of events. It's really kind of special.
And while you're no longer the mayor, you remain very active in redeveloping different parts of the city.
That's true. It's very exciting. I serve now as a director of business development for the Florio Prucci Steinhardt Fader law firm, but mainly I work with Mike Prucci, who was actually one of the original investors that bought the steel site and then partnered with the Sands to make all of this happen. So, you know, while it was great kind of bringing it to happen as mayor, it's also wonderful now to sort of see the next phase happen, which we really believe that while Patrick and ArtsQuest do a wonderful job sort of Thursday to Sunday bringing life to this project, particularly in the evenings, we want to see more residential. We want to see more office back to the site because that's what's going to make it more of a 7-day-a-week, 24-hour site. In fact, so our first project is Greenway Commons. It's located on 3rd Street in South Bethlehem, right across from the community college. Our first project was Social Still, which some people may know. That's the first kind of batch distillery here in the Lehigh Valley. And the parking lots on either side of that building will be Greenway Commons. So I think there's a video we could take a look at.
Yeah,
and I
let's
can kind of
take a look
walk
at
everybody
that.
through it. So this is what the new view of 3rd Street will be. To the right is the SGO building, the Steel General Office building. To the left is an office building. This is actually a 3-building mixed-use project made up of office, retail, and residential. So the office building is to your left. Now we're coming up on Social Still, which was an old bank that was converted into this batch distillery and kitchen. This will be the first building of the project, Building A, retail on the first floor and 95 luxury residential units above. Great rebuilding and reshaping of the streetscape. And then the next building will also be residential. Again, retail. All these buildings will have ground floor retail, about 60,000 square feet of office. And as I said, and then this is the new parking garage that's slated, about a 650 space garage at the corner of Polk and 3rd Street. So it really is going to be some dynamic change coming to 3rd Street and a brand new view. And what we love about this project is, as I said, it's not going to only put a lot more feet on the street and become an office and retail destination. The CRIZ is a very powerful element that we hope will help make this project a reality. But we're very bullish on residential in South Bethlehem. We think that if we're going to be the opportunity to live in close proximity to these wonderful venues and these great events is something people will really want to be a part of. So we think that that's going to help a lot. And most importantly, kind of from an urban planning side, you know, these parking lots don't make for a very interesting walk down 3rd Street. So this kind of fills in that moat between the steel stacks and Bethworks site and the Lehigh University to the sort of north and south. It provides that connection. And it's also sort of going to stretch the central business district of Southside along 3rd Street kind of east and west. And so we think it's really a great infill project that's going to bring a lot of new life to Southside.
And before we wrap up, really quickly, timeline for this project and next steps.
So the first building we anticipate starting end of June, early July. That will be that retail building with the 95 units. And then sort of in the next year or so, we'll tackle the other 2.
We look forward to watching it. Thank
Thanks.
you, Patrick. Thank you, John. The Steel Stacks property is owned and anchored by the Sands Bethlehem, which includes a casino, hotel, outlet retail shopping center, and events center. The casino opened in June of 2009 and continues to work to sustain the neighborhood where it's located, as well as the environment.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mark Giuliano, and I am the president of Sands Bethlehem. And I am here to tell you about a company-wide program we have concerning sustainability. It is called Eco 360. To take all of our food and make sure it's being recycled in the proper way. We've given away a lot of our linens, the hard goods and case goods that we use throughout the hotel that we are changing for design purposes, but that are very useful for other people.
We're not only concerned with building sustainability culture inside the 4 walls of Sands Bethlehem, but we also want to drive the message home into the community.
And we're here today at Dunnigan because we thought it would be best to start from the ground up to teach our children that we all have a responsibility to care for the environment.
The Green Team is a group of 2nd grade students that champion the sustainability movement within Dunnigan Elementary. So today at Dunnigan, we're holding an Earth Day fair with the Green Team. And what that is we're taking items from the sands that we would normally throw away or recycle and bringing them here and repurposing them through crafts and games. One of the things we do at Dunnigan Elementary is a recycled bottle cap project. And the wonderful thing about it is that the kids really are so receptive of recycling. The partnership with Sands Bethlehem and Dunnigan Elementary, adding the sustainability element to it, is just so important because we already have that strong bond. And to work with the kids and to educate them and make them aware of this culture is such a positive thing for the community. The senior leadership at Las Vegas Sands and Sands Bethlehem is strongly committed to sustainability, and that is such a great thing.
that everybody is really kind of getting on board with it, and they're very happy that we are being as responsible as we are.
Grover, I have to ask you, did you try the Cuban?
I certainly did. I split one with our photographer, Eric Werner, and we
how
loved
was
it. It was delicious.
Very good.
Yep.
And Brittany, since you actually toured OraSure, they've since made an announcement about their involvement in tests for Zika.
Yeah, that's right. They're now actively engaged in the development program for the Zika virus, so we'll have to see what's next and when that actually comes out. And with Texas Instruments, I know we were talking about scientific calculators, right? That's how I was familiar with them, but that's actually a very, very small part of their business. And so it was interesting to see the semiconductors and how they're being developed at this location.
Thank you, Brittany. Thank you, Grover. And thank you for joining us. We'll see you next week. Until then, remember to focus on what matters.
When you live at Fellowship Community, you enjoy loving friends, great opportunities, and exceptional healthcare in a Christ-centered environment. Recognized for excellence, Fellowship Community offers independent living, personal care, skilled nursing, a special memory care unit, and short-term rehab, all on our beautiful campus. We're welcoming new residents to the Villa. Personal care. Contact us today to schedule lunch and a tour.